Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Making Brave New Galaxy. My name is Will DeHaven and I'm putting together these videos of me in the process of making a computer game that I've had in my head for years and years, and that I finally decided to go ahead and just go ahead and do. I'm hoping that other people, by watching this video series as I am programming and designing the game, will also be encouraged by it and will be guided along in their pursuits, whether that's programming or doing something else. And that hopefully other people that have more experience than I do in Java and Eclipse and anything else that I'm trying to accomplish in creating this game would be able to come alongside and help, or even be able to take the project in another direction. Maybe it inspires them to do something else with this. So that's what this video series is all about, joining me on my journey to make Brave New Galaxy. As I mentioned, Brave New Galaxy is a computer game, and before you can read the description of it on my GitHub, which is under my username HariSeldon51, under the repository Brave New Galaxy, and it's just the README, which has a description there. But I'll let you guys know now that Brave New Galaxy is partly inspired by some MMOs that I've played. I've done some Lord of the Rings Online, Rift, Star Trek Online. Trying to think of some others that I've done. I suppose no, that's not a good example of that. But then also definitely inspired by the procedural voxel-based ideas and concepts within Minecraft, which was a huge success and was just purchased by Microsoft last month. So I don't know exactly what will go on there. If the community falls away, this is maybe idealistic, but maybe this is a new project and community that people will be able to become involved with and have a place online to I guess commune with other people that like building games, because that's what Brave New Galaxy is. It is, even though it's massively multiplayer, it is a game that creates a procedurally generated galaxy based on a seed. Each planet will have its own seed, and the terrain is voxel based, a lot like Minecraft. So there will be a lot of resource mining, a lot of crafting, a lot of very player generated content. And rather than be in just a flat world like Minecraft, it'll be in a huge galaxy, which will be on a server, allowing people to be able to explore that galaxy and find all the wonders that are within it. At least I hope there'll be a lot of wonders in it. We'll see. That's another part of the game. Something I was going to do to start off this episode was just to jump into some code. I already actually have the beginnings of a game class here in Eclipse, and basically just starting the display and the display object, as well as get the game loop going. And I realized that that's not really in accordance with my own personal values. Just jumping in and getting something going and not having a plan, not really being intentional about what we're going to be making this game, about the direction that we want to go, and the things we need to get there. And so I realized I really need to start this in designing a game document, a game design document, rather than jumping into code and getting off on the wrong track. So I want to show you guys what a game design document is. So I found three of the game design documents that I've created for different game projects that I got started on, never completed, but they're examples of a variety of different kinds of game design documents you can use. And it kind of shows how each game that has different requirements, and so a game design document can become more involved. It can be very simple, like a one-page thing if it's like just a puzzle game or something like that. And of course, the game design document changes throughout the development process depending on how the game evolves. So these are a few examples. The first one I'm going to show you is a little bit simpler. It's not terribly well organized, and it was for a game where it was okay. Even though this isn't a very well organized one, it's not a simple game. It was another massively multiplayer online RPG, and so this was just more of a stream of consciousness, kind of writing out what different systems I thought needed to be in place in order to get the system to work. It was going to be for like a Doctor Who style game. And all I did was put down what I wanted the first hour of my MMO to be like. Basically, I was writing down the narrative, what the players, a narrative of what the player's experience would be like. And I think in any game design document, it's important to have a section on that. Now, all this is pretty much, I just kind of wrote out, I think, a Doctor Who episode. I think I pretty much just wrote out like a Doctor Who episode here, but it kind of illustrates that idea. Next one is a little bit more involved. It's for another Doctor Who game, but with a lot easier to take on. It's an RPG that's two-dimensional, and it takes place within the classic series. And in this game design document, you get a bit more information in a more organized fashion, which I think is a better idea for a game design document. You want to make sure that everything's easy to see in case you have other people on a team trying to create the same game with you. And also, it's just good for even if you're by yourself on a team like I am. Getting this stuff down is good so that you think through how everything is supposed to interact. And then you're not trying to create a collision system in a game that, oh, it turns out it's going to be 3D, and so you need a completely different collision system, collision detection system. So for this one, I didn't give it a title. I probably should have. I'm not going to change this actual file for, posterity's sake. But just to kind of give you an idea, it should have some kind of title. General information, it just kind of gives a quick summary. And you might want to have a table of contents so it's easy to find which pages there are. Game sequence, this goes into like the different game states. Is the game going to have a loading screen? Is it going to show the logo of the studio, the main menu, and what does the main menu look like? How are the different buttons shown that you want people to use in order to change their settings, or load a game you already have going, or view the credits again? And then when the game starts, what is the sequence of the game? Is there going to be kind of cinematic sequences throughout it? Is it going to be split up into parts? How is that going to work? And of course, I thought it was cool to take the idea of a multi-part adventure, how they would split the classic series of Doctor Who into 4 to 6 episodes sometimes, and use that to kind of create different chapters within the game itself, so that you felt like you were actually playing one of those retro episodes. Then there are sections that go into like the different systems of the game. At the moment, all I have is an administrative system, which I don't think that in retrospect I really needed. Just need to keep track of the game states. But that's as far as I got. I could have put something like collision detection system, sprite system, menu system, plot system. I don't know. You could, depending on your game, you can put all kinds of different things, but it's important to kind of be thinking practically, how's your game going to be programmed to do that? I really got into, as you can see, kind of the backstory within the game. What exactly had happened to before the player begins the game to make the setting the way it was and cause all the events within the game. The synopsis of the narrative within the different parts. And I'd really gotten into part 1 and all the stuff that could happen there. Didn't get as much into part 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, but knew what kind of had to be in there, and then I can fill that out later. I even had come up with some dialogue for one part where Sarah goes, "Not another one, I'm so tired of bunkers. This is no bunker, it's a tomb." I think I was playing off of the one line from Star Wars A New Hope. You know, going into the characters, so I was going quite a bit into world design rather than into the game, which it's important to do both. You really need to do both. I'm not going to say, well, I did some good stuff. I'll save it, and I'll see that later. It's important to do both. Then later on, an early prototype design for the game that I'm making, at one point I called it the Seven Cities, the Seven Cities of Christus, and this was a more involved design document where it had a title page, which I think is a good idea, who the creator was, the version number, the date. Oh, that was 2 years ago, or over 2 years ago. It had a table of contents, which in Word, it's a really nice way of creating a table of contents so that it updates it according to your styles. You don't have to go in every single time a page moves because you add content and change the page number, which is nice. So it went into version history, a game overview, design language, which I'll take a look at that in a minute. The mechanics. What is a rhomby trihexagonal tiling system? I think that's interesting. Blocks, chunks, tiles. That's going to be similar to a truncated octahedral tiling system. And this did some procedural world generation. 2, what the graphics will look like, the game world and characters. That's when you go into the game world design right there. And then extras, if there was going to be hidden places or Easter eggs, and resources, future features. Your game, depending on whether it's more of an action game as opposed to RPG or puzzle or whatnot, might have some of these chapters or paragraphs, and might have others that this one doesn't. So a game design document really needs to be practical for the kind of game you're making. I'm obviously making more of an RPG. Was keeping track of a version history and a log on this page. Game overview, it just gave simple things like project, different titles. It was going to be an Android app, although I don't know how that would have been possible. Had a very, very wide target audience. Graphical projection, isometric, those kinds of things. Design language. I came up with a design language called Xenogrunge. And it was kind of a mix of both the grunge, where it's more dark, more dirty, and xeno, pertaining to aliens, from the Greek for guest, kind of a strange kind of thing. And then the graphical style. Design language is a technical term that is very important to know if you're going to be designing games that have a consistent feel, not just graphically, but with the way the player interacts with the game, with how the input is utilized to allow the player to interact with it, what the player sees, all of that. And so it doesn't just apply to the game programming world. It applies to graphical user interfaces in operating systems. It applies to whenever a human being interacts with a non-human object like a car. it's all of the dashboard controls, the way that it looks, how the chairs are styled, is coming from a design language, whether it's more of a futuristic or more of a geometric kind of feel. The way that a kitchen is designed to look, if it's got more of a modern feel or more of a traditional, maybe French, what's that term? French imperial kind of feel to it. That's a design language. And a lot of times people aren't aware that they're using a design language, and so that shows in the final project. I think that this is something that my past game design documents were missing that's important for the game to have. And so a lot of this might be taken and put into the new game design document for Brave New Galaxy. Went into a lot of different pictures of what a rhombic trihexagonal tiling system. I don't even remember what that's called. I suppose that's the tiles. This was a while ago. So you just want to fill all of this stuff out. I'm not going to go into the rest of it because a lot of it is more of what we already went over. But that's kind of what a game design document looks like, and it's what I need to start with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on making up the game design document for Brave New Galaxy, and I'm going to put that up on the project's GitHub, and as soon as I'm done with that, I will come right back. Okay, I have gone and taken this design document because I like how the fonts and styles used in order to allow it to fit in with the game, as well as create a table of contents, so that it's very easy to just go and automatically update this table. See, I made some changes even in the time that I saved it. And so you've got a nice table of contents here that even spills into the next page, and that's okay. But it's got Brave New Galaxy. It looks kind of epic, so let's call it the design document. To version 0.1. Every time we add something, we'll just continue adding like 1 or 2 or 3 until it's probably a major change, and then we'll make it a 2, 3, and then when it's finally to a complete stage, we'll make it a 1. And some of the same things applies. I've got a more targeted audience here, which I've learned from experience. I've also added the projection. Should maybe make that screen projection, and the programming language environment, Java with OpenGL and Slip2D. Kept the same design language sections, but made it apply because it was going to keep a lot of the same feel that I kind of developed in my head for this. But there were some things that applied to the game before that don't apply to this one, so that's there. I've also got a different set of mechanics, and I've split it up into 9 different sections. Maybe that's too many, maybe some of them overlap. And I haven't, even though I know what these are, that these are the systems that are going to make up the game, I haven't filled them all out, but I've got the headings in there so that as time goes on, I can fill them out and you guys can see what that is. And then we go into the game world so that it kind of gives a description of what the content of the game is. I'll have a short description of the galaxy, although I can probably put right here, generated galaxy akin to our own Milky Way galaxy. And then I'll fill that out later. And then it breaks it down into the smaller systems within that galaxy, the planets, and then we'll break it down further into different ecosystems, which is kind of similar to biomes in Minecraft. The different races, which ecosystems will include non-sentient life and non-intelligent, which is kind of difficult to define that exactly, but you know, humans will go in here, bears will go in here. You know, that difference right there. Then the history, which might be a subset of races, technology, travel, that sort of thing. Then any extras that come with the game, resources, and future features. So that's the design document I have for Brave New Galaxy. Okay. And there it is. Okay. And it should be on here too. Yep. Down here. And you can just download that to take a look at it. Maybe, you know, maybe Word isn't the best file format type for that, but let's see. Anyway, so that's the first episode. We've got the design document up and running. It's here inside our Java project for Brave New Galaxy. We took a look at these three design documents here, but there's plenty more online for you to look at. And it's also here in our Git repository, our local Git repository. Something that's helpful is using styles so that you can utilize it in a table of contents that Word can automatically make up for you. And so you can also go up here and change the styles, modify them, and it'll change them all rather than you having to go through and change each and every single heading within here. It includes a lot of different sections that some games need and some don't, so do what you need. And if there's some that you see here that you're wondering why, or that there's some that you think ought to be here, let me know. Get involved. You can comment on the YouTube page, or you know, just go to the GitHub and take a look at what's already on there and download it, and maybe come up with something that will be helpful. In any case, I'm open to suggestions, questions about why I'm doing what I am, and what's coming up, which is probably coming up with the game loop and displaying a window. So, until then, thanks very much for joining us for episode 1 of Making Brave New World. Until next time, happy programming. This is Will DeHaven.